Sonic the Hedgehog, also known as Sonic 06, has a dark side. Its content is far more adult than any prior Sonic game, its themes are creepy, and its world oppressive. To fill you in on the game in case you're out of the loop, Sonic 06 was the first entry in the Sonic franchise for Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. It launched on November 14th, 2006 to the worst critical and commercial reception of any Sonic game ever made. Fans were up in arms over its lack of quality, and it has since gone down in history as one of the biggest video game misfires of all time. From a convoluted story that dragged on for nearly 20 hours, requiring the player to play as many different characters, some of which were downright broken to control, to numerous game-breaking glitches and bugs, to those infuriatingly long load times. So, how are you guys doing? Having a good day? Okay, this is kinda awkward now. Sonic 06 was truly a lesson learned in how not to try and evolve a tried and tested formula. It only made things worse when you consider this abomination was launched as a celebration of Sonic's 15th anniversary. Poor Sonic, he just can't catch a break sometimes. However, these were issues with the actual game design, and not what makes Sonic 2006 such a dark and sinister entry in the series. You see, there is a dark side to this troubled game. Overarching themes are weird, as is the creepy art style employed for the game's human characters. The world often feels empty and eerie, and some moments in the story are just downright uncomfortable. So let's take a look at the sinister goings on within this misjudged entry in the Sonic franchise. In game development, the term Uncanny Valley refers to instances where a realistic-looking human character doesn't animate quite right, often resulting in an unnerving appearance within the game. Perhaps, for example, when a character has rigid movements or dead, lifeless eyes. This description is perfectly fitting for Sonic 06's human characters, who look oddly realistic but feature nightmarish animations. When exploring the central hub, Sonic can interact with non-playable human characters within a town called Selena, which by the way is creepy in itself, both feeling strangely empty and lifeless, as well as featuring a handful of human characters who stand perfectly still until Sonic approaches them. If you interact with these humans, they do not speak, rather simply enter a bizarre animation cycle where their mouth moves silently up and down, their arms waving frantically in the air as they stare unblinking into Sonic's soul. It looks incredibly unnatural, and the longer it goes on, the more unsettling it becomes. These semi-realistic human models also really clash with the rest of the game's cartoony look, which only adds to the eerie atmosphere. Perhaps the most horrific of these designs is found with Dr. Robotnik's character model. He retains a somewhat cartoonish appearance, but when removing his goggles, we see a horrifying sight. Robotnik's eyes look very realistic, and so we end up with a cartoon character with real human eyes. Just look at it. Speaking of Dr. Robotnik, or Eggman if you prefer that term, his actions within the story of Sonic 06 are downright horrendous. Sure, he is an evil genius, and generally his plans to capture cute little critters and dominate the world seem pretty by the numbers and non-offensive. But Sonic Team seemed to want to make the entire story of this particular Sonic game overtly dark and edgy, and so in Sonic 06, Robotnik becomes a child snatcher, abducting a 15-year-old princess with magical powers known as ELISE, in order to harness the infinite power of the flames of destruction sealed within her. This story is pretty shady, an elderly man taking a young girl away on his airship to take away the power from inside her. It feels awkward, and this is only the beginning. Things escalate when Robotnik's egg carrier ship is destroyed, killing both himself and poor Princess ELISE in the process. Death by explosion. Sonic of course manages to travel back through time and save the princess, but it's still a somber and bizarrely morbid moment for a video game series aimed at a family audience. The kidnapping and death of a young girl. When you say it out loud, it doesn't exactly scream Sonic. And Princess ELISE only has matters made worse for her due to the fact her inner power is so dangerous that if she were to cry because of her miserable situation, you know, like any normal person would, it would then spell the end for humanity. Her physical emotions unleashing Armageddon upon the world. So she can't even grieve. Sonic has engaged in flirtatious and implied relationships with various female characters throughout the series, most noticeably his supposed girlfriend, Amy Rose. Alas, Amy step aside, for Sonic 06 has a new leading lady in the form of that abused princess, ELISE. Surely ELISE and Sonic don't become a thing, do they? Well, very nearly, and it's weird for two reasons. The first being that Sonic, we assume, is an adult and ELISE is a teenage girl. This doesn't really need explaining further. The second reason is even more obvious. ELISE is a human, while Sonic is a hedgehog. Seriously, what was Sega thinking here? What seems like a friendship between the two soon gains implications of something more romantic over the course of the game, with ELISE eventually showing her love and affection for the spiky blue mammal by kissing him, in front of Amy Rose no less, in order to resurrect Sonic from his deathbed.
You have given me so many things. Now it is my time to return the favor. I care not what happens to me, but please heed my voice. Sonic, come back. To me. To us.
Again, these themes of death and interspecies romance are plain weird and kind of uncomfortable to watch. With the game's weird themes and dark subject matter out of the way, let's turn our attention to some other moments in Sonic 06's story that feel weirdly bleak and scary. Outside of Robotnik, the two villains of the game are interdimensional duo MEPHILES and ELISE. MEPHILES is super creepy to look at. His character model comes across as a twisted, infected version of Sonic or Shadow, but it isn't his sinister appearance that makes this character so unnerving. More the way he is displayed and the events surrounding him throughout the game. MEPHILES' movements are pretty sketchy. He has an unnatural walk, hunched over, and shuffles forward almost as if a puppeteer is controlling him with invisible strings. He has the ability to spawn a swarm of mini versions of himself too. These then rush the player, overwhelming them. MEPHILES' theme tune is also very creepy, more akin to a piece of music you'd expect to find in a horror game. Take a listen. It's even creepy when he talks because his mouth doesn't seem to move, and MEPHILES brings about one of the game's most shocking scenes when he shows up and instantly kills Sonic at the beginning of the final story.
Finally, the seal is broken.
Like, how many deaths does this game feature when it even ends up taking out its main character at one point? Usually in Sonic games, stages are fun, colourful and upbeat. While this can be said for many of the areas found in Sonic 06, the game also has a few levels with unusually oppressive vibes, most notably Crisis City. Crisis City is a worn-torn environment leveled by a volcanic eruption and now covered in lava. The buildings are in ruin, the streets and roads cracked apart, and we are simply left to wonder what fate befell the town's citizens. Were they all killed? It seems likely this was the case. Talking of oppressive atmosphere, the music for each character at the end of a game is also pretty eerie. The end of the world is coming, and we have to face off against a boss known as Solaris. Solaris has devoured time itself, and so these stages take place in a weird limbo. The music for each character representing their hopelessness and current mental state. Pretty heavy stuff for a Sonic game. Take a listen to Tails' theme for example, it's downright gloomy. Overall, while Sonic 2006 isn't going to compete with some of the themes tackled in fully adult games, it almost seems creepier because of it. This was, after all, a game designed with young audiences in mind first and foremost. This actually makes it really odd to play. It's not going to disturb you in a way a true horror game would, but it's certainly the Sonic game with the most immoral narrative, creepiest moments, and strangest design choices. Exactly how not to do a Sonic game then? This has been a look at the dark side of Sonic 06. And that's it for today's video. Please remember to give it a like if you did enjoy watching, and maybe drop a comment too, as well as subscribing to the channel and turning on notifications so you never miss an upload. This channel specializes in variety horror content, including creepypasta readings, horror gaming facts and theories, and general interest pop culture horror videos. So if you're interested in all things spooky, you'll find something to enjoy here at SuperHorrorBro. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video.